Good afternoon. I've been thinking a lot about blogging and vlogging and whatever the hell you want to call it lately. I know one of my best friends, Prototype, he does his smoke break vlog religiously. I know there's a lot of other people who post stuff fairly religiously, not on religious matter. I don't think I could do that. I do find most of Proto's smoke breaks interesting to watch, except for the bunnies and rainbows. That's what led to the ranting. I don't think I could do that. Come up with something that topical every day. Don't get me wrong, I like to talk. Some people would say I like to hear the sound of my own voice. I kill them for that. But damn, I don't think I could come up with stuff that interesting to talk about every day. Prototype has a smoke break. Other people have their whatever's coffee break. I mean, I don't even know what I would call mine. Flint's Follies. I like that. It's got a silly ring to it, and sometimes I do just like being silly. So I guess you could say this is my first attempt at a branded blog. No, my rants are already branded. What would I talk about? Well, actually, talking about Korean food, a word was used, a term that I actually think is misused. I could be wrong. I'm not a grammar god, and God knows I'm not a vocabulary god. I don't know what I would be a god of. Ranting. Cheap. Korean food is cheap. Oh, look, the prices here are so cheap. Oh, how much did that cost you? Oh, it was very cheap. To me, cheap has always had a negative connotation. Cheap has two meanings. One, inexpensive. Two, bad quality. My whole life, I always remember that anything that was referred to as having bad quality, it was cheap. But if it was just a low price, oh wow, it was inexpensive. It cost so little. It was a fair price. So when I'm teaching students, I try to teach them not to use cheap to just mean inexpensive. I could be wrong to do that. I don't think I am. Cheap has always had that negative impact. I remember I went to a dentist here, and he's like, oh, my work is very cheap. And I'm like, please don't tell me that. Why? He's like, well, cheap doesn't just mean low cost. It means it's not the best work that can be done. Oh, my work is very good. Oh, I don't doubt it. But when you use the word, oh, my work is cheap, to me, it has that negative meaning. So I just try to teach the kids that cheap has two meanings, and if you really mean low cost, especially if you're talking to people who English isn't their first language, and they're probably going to run to their dictionary, and whatever the first entry is for the definition of that word, that's what they go by. Doesn't matter if it's an archaic meaning, doesn't matter if it's a meaning that's no longer used, doesn't matter if they listed it alphabetically for meaning as adverb, noun, verb, whatever. They always go by that first meaning. And it can get them into a lot of trouble. One of my best students still does that sometimes. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, they had a writing assignment. This is a student I'm very proud of. I've taught him for 2.5 years off and on, mainly on, and I've got to see his skill evolve. And I got to say, that leaves you with a nice feeling when you see how far someone has improved. But I digress. So he wrote about his best friends. And he's like, oh, well, I like to meet with my friends and talk and that, but I haven't had intercourse with them in a long time. And of course I'm like, wow. Do you know what this word means? The dictionary here. Okay, yeah, it does mean that. But intercourse is sex. Its primary meaning now in the English world is, it's not just interaction, it's sex. And the very first meaning, though, in the dictionary is interaction. It's not wrong. But it's not the proper word to use at that time. And that's the feeling I have with the word cheap. It's just not always the proper word to use to mean inexpensive. Anyways, welcome to Flint's Follies number 1. I doubt I will ever have a theme song or a banner, but hey, you never know. Maybe the clown song. Or maybe not. Anyways, have a good day. It's almost the weekend. And may your follies always be fun.